Hello everyone, hope you are doing well, or at least better than I do, because I'm sitting here in the rain. I guess since we don't have an apartment, this is as close as I'm gonna get to taking a shower for now. But needless to say, we're back at it again with another Big Ambition 0.9 video. And this time around we're diving into the electronics factories, our final stop in the luxury department. As you know, since update 0.9, you can no longer just import smartphones. Now you have to make them yourself in your own factory. These are late game products, so it goes without saying that if you're making 10 grand a day, this isn't the one for you just yet. Before building anything, I wanted to familiarize myself with the electronics products and open up the F1 menu to check out the recipes. Electronic stores can sell Artifish phones as well as Xanaman phones and smartwatches, plus 2 models of earphones, and clicking through one of them shows the complete recipe with raw materials and required machines, all neatly listed. But the moment I saw just how long the list was and how every product shared almost the same massive setup, I immediately felt overwhelmed. I wanted to step away from this nightmare as fast as possible, but a test is a test, and we're here to do a job. So first up, we needed a physical space to work with. I've already used most of the large facilities available, but luckily there was one more option left, which is the Q2 model, a 2,610 square meters factory, same as my other large ones, but with a slightly different layout that might actually come in handy for this build. And since I was curious to see what the devs cooked with the interior installation firms for electronic factories, I gave Stone Good Services a call. And also, because I've used them in the past for all of my previous tests, I kindly asked for a discount this time around, and they found my request rather hilarious, laughed in my face, and gave me a quote of almost $6 million, which puts this factory at the top of the most expensive interior installation firm options that are available right now. Luckily, our other businesses have been pretty much printing money, and we're sitting on a comfortable 7.8 million, so with a heavy heart, I signed the deal and prepared myself mentally for the moment when my balance will drop. Our next stop is finding a store, because, well, we need to sell products to make up for all these losses, and electronics are a premium product, so naturally I wanted to build in Midtown, where the upper class population lives. But even by day 156, my game state refused to give me any decent options. Only 75 square meter stores with traffic indexes that might as well be 0. I even considered converting one of my existing Murray Hill businesses into an electronics shop, but since I had no baseline data for profits, that felt a bit too much of a gamble to take. So instead, I found this special gem of a store in Lower Manhattan, a 1,000 square meter property with a 43 traffic index. Not necessarily ideal, as it consists mostly of working class residents and not many upper class buyers, but at this point I already had one foot in the grave, so might as well do it. I named the store Battery Anxiety, since that's how I felt about this whole deal, and then I called Christian Bahud and asked them for their help with the interior design. They were much more understanding of my financial situation and gave me a unique option of a modern design which was conveniently priced at just $844,000. And after spending the majority of my capital on interior design firms, I remembered that my task is not done yet and that we need a truck for deliveries, of course. So I headed to the dealership, found a beautiful dark blue model, and immediately knew it was the one. Unfortunately, I'd illegally parked my car in front of the exit, so I couldn't purchase my truck until I moved my car. It had to be done, so I decided to carefully let it rest on the grass. With the truck secured, I drove straight to my new factory, only to find Stone Good Services blocking the entrance with a final slap in the face after depleting my funds. With no other choice, I was forced to find a nearby bench, parked next to it, and cosplayed as a homeless person for the night. Finally, the installation was done, and this is what $5.8 million buys you. To be fair, it looks good. It has multiple production lines, small machine clusters, tons of input stations, but for that price, it should have offered a bit more. Either more machinery, or at least provide the necessary items for our factory workers, such as a fridge, a coffee machine, and a water cooler. If these items are not provided, you will lose employees, and that's a fair point on their side. Either way, the design looked clean enough, I guess, sufficient, and clearly meant to produce at scale. It was also an HR nightmare considering how many input stations are necessary for this production line, as we will need a small army of people to man this factory. And it was clear what I had to do. So I expanded the HR department, ordered materials, hired my small army of workers, set up delivery routes, adjusted our store prices, and finally went to bed. The next morning I checked the profits, and to my disbelief, we were making over $500,000 in a single day. And this begged the question, were electronic stores that good, or was this just the beginner's luck? Since one night of data was clearly not enough to answer my question, I let time roll forward for 20 in-game days, and here are the results. On screen you can see the total revenue generated by all businesses. It's almost as if the screen were split in half, with the most profitable businesses sitting on the left-hand side of the screen and the ones that are providing pocket change on the right side. And to my surprise, Battery Anxiety, our new 1,000 square meter store in Lower Manhattan, absolutely dominated the charts with $3.2 million in revenue. And remember, this is a predominantly working class area. Had this been in Midtown, I believe we could have made a lot more profits. Second place went to Clothes Galore Murray Hill with $2.1 million, and third place to Clothes Galore Lower Manhattan with $1.2 million. When we look at this chart, Battery Anxiety alone brought in nearly 40% of our total revenue in this test window. If you remember previously when we had the clothing stores, they were doing 80%, but now with more businesses, this has shifted a little bit. Our jewelry stores held their ground quite proudly, with Diamond in the Rough at $531,000 and Crown Jewels at $433,000. Finally, the ever-reliable fast food duo, Junk Food and Junkaroonie Foodaroonie, were still strong at $323,000 and $121,000 respectively. Not bad at all, but clearly electronics are playing in a whole different league. But wait, you might say, revenue is great, but what about expenses? Kind sir, you mentioned earlier that you employed a small army of people. Surely that is affecting your bottom line. Well, that's a very good question, and thank you for asking, by the way. On the screen, we can see now our expenses as a whole, with import deliveries at just under $600,000 and wages at $680,000. Everything else, such as rent, insurance, deliveries, was a negligible amount by comparison. Although our expenses were not negligible, totaling $1.6 million, our net revenue generated was significantly stronger, coming in hot at $8 million. So when taking away the expenses, we're left with $6.4 million in profit, a very strong performance. And in terms of ROI, things are getting pretty straightforward this time around, because we didn't buy any extra machines and we pretty much used only the interior installation firm, so our total investment cost came in roughly at $5.8 million, which I'll round up to 6 for simplicity. Given that Battery Anxiety generated $3.2 million in just 20 days, so about $160,000 per day, we're looking at a 37-day payback period. Had I done this myself and bought the items manually instead of relying on Stone Goods services, I believe that number would be a lot lower. With all these things taken into account, I'd say the electronics factories are one of the best investments you can make for yourself. They're not cheap and they're not easy, and they're definitely not for early starters. So if you have already a solid foundation of businesses that can support you financially while this one ramps up, then the electronics factories will surely take your game to the next level. The initial cost, like I said, is pretty steep, but the profits that follow up make up for it pretty quickly. So let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about this one? I'm sure there are clever ways to optimize the layout even further, but at face value, this looks like a pretty strong long-term business. And of course, we're not stopping here. Stay tuned for the next episode as we continue testing every factory in Big Ambition 0.9. If this video restored your faith in factories, even just a little bit, then please consider gently patting that like button and subscribing for more content like this. Thanks again for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.